As we work our way through these tunnels and caverns. Now I have got to talk about safety before we get into the first section of tunnels here. So first off, most important one, this red and green band around the boat here. This is our boat profile. Please do keep long arms, legs, valuables, small children, please, within the profile of the boat here. These tunnels are obviously quite tight by design, and our boats are really quite heavy, so they don't stop very quickly. Now the last thing we want to do is get anything caught between the boat and the tunnel walls, because of course these tunnel walls have been winning that argument for about 250 years. They're certainly not going to give in today. Now we're going to keep you seated most of the way round. We've got an opportunity to stand up in Singing Cavern once we get there. But of course our tunnels do get a bit twisty-turny. And despite Matt's marvellous tiller talent down the back of the boat there, we're probably going to strike the wall at least once. And of course we don't want to knock anybody over. This is a contact sport, of course. Now, we've got plenty of safety kit on the boat. Matt and myself, we're fully trained to use it all, but thankfully it's very rare, if ever, that we need to. Finally, I've also got to say that we're regulated by the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, so they do check us regularly to make sure we're running a nice safe operation. With that in mind, let's have ourselves a nice safe tour this afternoon. Welcome aboard, Trip Boat George, and welcome to the Dudley Tunnels and Caverns. Now this first section of the tunnel we're working our way through here is known as Lord Ward's Tunnel. Lord Ward was actually the second Earl of Dudley, and he would become one of the richest men in England. So he's quite a clever fella, our Lord Ward, and he realised that we've got the first one coming up. This is actually a Shirtsmill construction shaft, and it's around about 70 feet up to the surface. Hold on to your hats, have a look up. But I will warn you that our skippers actually refer to this one as the Eiffel Tower. After a bit of rain, of course, take a look up there, you're going to get an eyeful of whatever's coming down. Now this first open section here is Shirtsmill Basin. We've actually got two mine entrances here within the basin. So on the left hand side of the boat here we've got flooded mine. That looks a little bit like a cave, that one, and that's a drift mine that operates just on the one level. Now behind me on the right hand side of the boat here we've got Tipton mine. So we've got a little bricked up tunnel here. Now in that horizontal tunnel there's a vertical shaft. It drops down about 80 to 100 feet below us. So that means they certainly didn't blow the doors off. They blew the whole roof off of here. Now of course our miners would have laid charges all the way around the rim of the cavern and blew off that limestone roof. That's going to be removed of course by the boats. But now without the roof we've got a basin rather than a cavern. So we've got daylight coming in here. That makes the job for our boatmen so much easier. But even at that time there were 3 busy mine exits here and only 1 tunnel entrance. So of course there's going to be some confusion and possibly arguments about who gets into the tunnel first. Now the best way that our boatmen knew to resolve that kind of dispute, of course, is a good old punch-up. But would you believe at the time you could still actually hire yourself a bare-knuckle fighter to fight your boat further up the queue if you so desired. This certainly was the wild West Midlands about 180 years ago. Now we're threading ourselves here into our 1989 tunnel. This is the most recent addition in terms of tunnels to our site here. What you can see instantly is we don't have a bridge, and that's because this shotcrete lining allows any rain that comes down here to run behind the lining itself and in front of the rock face. This shotcrete also holds back the loose limestone chippings that would otherwise break away from the walls and the roof of the tunnel here. There is one downside to this lining though. It is the following morning we're actually ready to go with trips, but of course we didn't sell that many tickets the day after an earthquake. Now we're just arriving here at Little Tess Cavern. We've got some recorded recollections here of tales from the past. So have a little listen and I'll pick up the commentary with you in a few minutes' time.
Most in the majority of the evidence in the Industrial Revolution, there were several jobs working in limestone mines quite easy. You had miners like me who cut the limestone from the rock faces using picks and explosives. You had loaders who would move the limestone off the boats and the walls. Timbermen who supported the tunnels and caverns and stopped them collapsing. Engine operators in the later years too.
Most of us ended up moving around to work with our fathers and older siblings in the mines, who worked really long hours for little pay. Sometimes we don't get 4 shillings a week. It's not 30
these two tails do. So you can see the canal used to emerge through the wall here. It would actually follow the line of the wall and then disappear into that blockade over on the left-hand side of the boat. Beyond that blockade is actually the largest cavern created within this network, Dark Cavern. It's around about 2 kilometres away to the rock tunnel. We've got some of these mineral deposits lit up for you. The second bunch on the right here is actually the more impressive of the two. And that's because it really tells us about the quality of the limestone we've got here. You see, it's quite a bright white colour, this calcite deposit. And that's telling us that we've got some really good quality limestone here. Probably some of the best in the world. As the wind circulated around these supporting pillars, it created a humming or a singing noise. So that's how the cavern gets its nickname. The miners called it either the Singer or Singing Cavern. Now at this stage we're much safer, so it's a good opportunity to stand up and have a bit of a leg stretch. Do take plenty of pictures. Now Matt's going to manoeuvre the boat here so that I can point out some of the detail within the cavern. But I hope you'll agree this is a very special place to be. Despite the fact that me and Matt are in and out of here probably 6 or 7 times a day, nonetheless this place really does still feel very special. You can only imagine the blood, sweat and tears that went into creating this place. To the side of the ridge here, removing that limestone as they go. Now what they'll be doing is probably using the horse and cart to get it back up to the top of the ridge. Now once our miners have cleared out that top gallery up there, they're going to start to work their way down through what would be the floor at the time. Now of course this is going to take many years for our miners to work their way down to the middle level here, but they did a couple of really quite amazing things on the way down here. Now you've got to remember of course that our miners are pretty much uneducated fellas today. If you have a look down ahead of the boat, you can actually see around about 100 yards down there. Now this was actually an extension of the cavern that we're sitting in, but the pillars didn't actually stand up to the test of time down there, so that cavern collapsed many years ago. But of course our miners would be removing all the limestone that they could from that cavern. Indeed there's so much water down on that lower level, but we can only really show you about 6% of the overall workings within this system. Now, of course, once those miners finish working down on the lower level, you might actually imagine we've got ourselves a flat pack tunnel here. Because, of course, these individual chunks of concrete are pre-formed in a factory and then sent out to site so we can bolt them into location. So what we've actually got here is this boat is floating in about 3 feet of water inside a complete concrete tube. It goes all the way around us. You'll actually find the same general construction here on the London Underground and even the Paris Metro. Now just as we pop out here into the well and see all this water. So you might imagine that it is actually a well, but of course it's not. It's a canal. You can't drink the water down here. It's never been safe enough. And even these days, the best advice is, when it comes to canals, you really shouldn't be swimming in them. If you do find yourself in a canal by accident these days, it's a very good idea to give yourself a good shower as soon as you get out. And I won't elaborate on the details there. Now over on the right hand side ahead of the boat we've got another tunnel portal here. This is actually the extension of the main Dudley Tunnel itself. So this tunnel extends about another 1.5 miles all the way through to the other side of the ridge. Now unfortunately we can't see daylight through. These guys will be working down here maybe 12 or 14 hours a day, 6 days out of 7. So they're lucky enough to get the day off on Sunday. The fellas themselves, they can go to church. And of course the children, they'll have a chance to do a little bit of Sunday school. Very important, of course, to get just a little bit of education into these guys. Now, of course, the reason why we call this guy Arthur in the front is working at that sort of pace. He's only going to load half a boat today, isn't he? Okay, we'll move along from Arthur. Let's have a look at these couple of pals over by the wall there. Now, lovingly, we call this pair Ant and Deck. What they're doing for us today is driving an iron bar here into the rock face. So every time that bar is struck by the hammer, lime dust in here as well. This lime dust is attacking the eyes and the lungs of our miners. But the biggest problem with this is the limestone itself. The way that limestone changes density means you never have any idea how much of that stuff's going to come down when the charges go off. Now hold on to your hats and have another look up here. This is horrid pit construction shafts, this one. Now this is really fascinating how the minerals are building up around the walls of the shaft here. So we've actually got three colours going on, tell us about the presence of our minerals. We've got a white or creamy colour, that tells us we've got limestone. That orangey red stain up there, that's three of these boats together. Now of course by doing that you're going to double or even triple the amount of money that you can earn. So of course that's how they would progress. But imagine the task. You've actually got two of these leggers in the lead boat, two more boats tied behind. Of course this pair of leggers are going to be moving well over 100 tonnes of gross weight all in all. It really is quite some task. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure I'd much rather be one of these leggers than one of those poor old miners. Load. What they're going to do next is they're going to run all the way back over the top of the ridge, right the way through Dudley Town Centre to go and pick up another. Now with the Midlands like flooded mine, of course it means there was always water in the bottom of that one. There are about 18 inches of pretty cold water in there as well, so our miners had to work in that. Now in that cold water you're going to find lime dust. Lime dust within the water is going to kill our, or destroy should I say, our neighbours, our miners' leather boots in no time. So our miners would actually leave their leather boots outside of flooded mine, and if they needed a bit of protection for their feet, they'd take a bit of sackcloth down with them. I suppose at least they'd have some nice boots to wear on the way home. Now we're back inside the Dudley Tunnel here. This one's a bit narrower than the rest, so it's a bit of a section of wall there. You can see an entrance into one of our original lime kilns, just within that old section of wall. Now of course there have been many of these lime kilns, around about 40 of them, all the way down the side of the canal here, almost as far as Tipton itself. And of course every one of these lime kilns will be belching out a black acrid smoke into the environment 24 hours a day. It's certainly that black smoke up in the sky that we used to see that's part of the reason why we find ourselves here in the Black Country at the heart of the Industrial Revolution.